For the next 20 minutes, Mo and I are going to dive into the vision for the year. We're going to help you make sure that you've thought through all the things you need to consider that's important to you, family, faith, finance, to ensure that by the time you reach the end of year 2025, you're where you wanted to be. All right, Mo, here we are with a big topic today. We're talking about planning for your year, having a vision, and how to really detail this thing out to make sure that our listeners and viewers are where they want to be by the end of year 2025.
Yeah.
And after all, we're planners too, so we do the same thing.
Yeah, for 2025, we were planning our year back in, September, October of last year, just to make sure that we kickstarted January to the right track. And, just like everyone else, right, 2025, the beginning of a new year, is always a great time to just go to a new drawing page, right? Everyone has those New Year's resolutions. They want to start the year off fresh. And why not make sure that the goals that you want to accomplish are set and you have the actual vision in mind to make sure that it is successful?
That's exactly right. And, I think it's a good time, too, because we're already into year 2025. And if everybody else is kind of like me, then they've stumbled a little bit on those New Year commitments. So it's a good time, though. It's never too late.
It's never too late.
It's never too late to recommit if you already have a plan, but to make sure you're on track. And so here at Beyond Tomorrow, our focus is faith, family, finance. And so we're going to tackle this thing with those three topics in that order.
Okay.
And so let's talk faith first, man.
Yeah.
You and I both hold our faith and belief to a high value. It doesn't mean we're perfect. We fall short all the time. But love to just kind of hear what your goals are for the year, Mo, and how you came about, what goals you might have with your faith and your spiritual walk, just to kind of hear from you.
Yeah. So, my faith journey has, it's been a journey for 43 years. I grew up going to Catholic school, and I was even an altar boy. I don't think you even knew that. Yeah. So my faith journey has always been part of my life. But for 2025, what I want to do and what I have been doing so far is just getting more intimate, right? So now I'm reading not just the Bible every morning, but I'm also reading a book to add on to it, right? And I'm also journaling every day. And so those three areas of consistently reading the Bible every single day, having a complementary book on top of it. So right now I'm reading a book called Point Man, which is how to lead your family in a godly way as a man. And then actually reading another book, reading three books right now. The other book is the thoughtful prayers of a praying husband or a loving husband, something along that lines. I'll clean that up and make sure to put that in the description below. But then also journaling at the same time. And so those three things combined has made me more intimate with God, because it's just showing me not just His Word, how to apply it with the book called Point Man, but then also journaling. What am I reflecting back on what I've been reading?
Yeah. That's solid, man, because, I got to ask before we go on. What's your time? What's your plan for the day to make sure you get that done? Because I'm thinking family, kids, trying to stay healthy.
Yeah.
You got to work and be a provider. How do you fit it into your schedule, man? How do you do it?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but what I do is I get up every morning around 4:45. Now I'm doing the Daniel fast, so I don't make a cup of coffee, but I usually get a cup of coffee, and then I'm downstairs in the office by 5 o'clock with a cup of coffee in my hand, and reading from 5 to 6:15.
And not falling asleep. Did everybody hear that? I just want to make sure that's out there. He said 4:45. Get big or go home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to make these plans. You got to commit to it. And yes, it's a struggle at times. Yes, it's a sacrifice, but the benefit is so worth it.
Yeah.
The benefit is so worth it.
The reality is life is busy, right? And there's so many things and so many obstacles that can come your way that can make you stumble along the path.
Yeah.
And so you have to just make sure that if it is an important goal of yours, that you put time in your calendar for it. And so the more valuable it is to you, the more purposeful your goal is, then you will find the time for it. At least that's what I believe. So I've made time and carved time in my morning. Yes, 4:45 is early. I mean, there's days it's 4:30, but do I fall short sometimes? Not much, really, actually, as I've been able to, put the pieces together to make sure that that's a dedicated time in my day to make sure that I'm intentional with the Lord. And I know that at the end of the day, I'm a better person for that. I'm a better man for that. I'm a better partner for that. I'm a better husband for that. A better father for that. And so it's just so much. So I put so much value into that time that it's a non-negotiable at this point.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's beautiful, and I think what you're showing is like truth and evidence is that you have to make these baby steps on a daily basis. Like you literally, to be where you want to go, you have to create the plan, and that comes all the way down to literally drawing out exactly what the agenda looks like day to day.
Yeah.
So for me, very similar. My goal this year, I've always had ambition. I'm just that type of person, ambitious goals, many of which I can never reach, to be honest with you, and I always come up short. But when it comes to my faith, what I settled in at this year is not really to have this, huge reading plan, or I want to accomplish this many books, I want to accomplish, reading the Bible again throughout the year or something like that. My goal this year was time. I felt like where I had gotten to a place over the past few years where, my goal was to invest into more of a knowledge of what the Word said, more so than experiencing the Lord, in a relationship. And so I felt like I was missing that piece. And so I thought, I need to not worry about trying to accomplish this amount of reading or this amount of chapters or whatever it may be. Instead, I'm just going to incorporate journaling, like you said, something I've never really done, and I love to write. And then also just focus on time. I just want to spend so my goal was an hour.
Okay.
My goal is an hour a day, and whatever needs to be sacrificed for me to accomplish that, that's my goal. Okay. And like you said, it becomes an addiction.
It really does. Yeah.
Like if you miss it, it's just like, and it's crazy because now I don't feel the pressure to make it through a certain amount of pages. So I just start reading. And if something just, really stands out to me in whatever I'm reading, and specifically the Bible, then I just start writing. And then it's been an incredible experience so far.
Just stay in that moment. Don't give yourself, don't. I used to feel bad sometimes if I went through maybe like 2 chapters or 3 chapters, and it's like, man, that's all I did.
Yeah, when you're looking at a book like that,
right. But it's just like, you're right. I mean, you just stay in the moment, and whatever is hitting your heart at that moment, just stop, reflect on it, journal, and just be present in that specific moment. So
stop and pray.
Yeah, I love that.
Just start praying and just start speaking and just present those requests to the Lord and let Him guide your steps. And so, I guess the theme for me is just seek Him.
Good.
Seek Him. So that's it. So when it comes to faith and when it comes to these goals and these visions, I think, that's exactly what you have to do. You have to literally come back to your daily schedule and say, okay, what's most important? If faith is most important to me, then I need to see the evidence of that in my daily schedule.
Yeah.
And so where's it going to be? And where's it going to take priority over the other things that I participate in, and make sure it fits in? All right, family. We got to incorporate physical because, so we're going to do family and health.
Family and health.
Together.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you got to be a healthy guy.
For your family.
For your family.
Yeah, you do.
All right. Me and you got the same goal here. So me and Mo.
Yeah.
All right. You guys know this because I'm sure many of you guys are families, business owners, hard workers, and it's tough, right? How do you do everything? Mm-hmm. You got to make it to your kids' activities, right? Because that's priority.
That's priority.
You don't want to mess up your reading time in the morning, at least for me, and that's a priority. So how in the world do you stay physically healthy when you're the guy behind the desk? You know what I mean? Yeah. Looking at 4 or 5 screens every day, just sitting there. Well, my wife has convinced me, not really convinced me, I kind of feel like it was forceful, but to start working out at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
So, if I'm going to work out at 12 o'clock and join a gym where it's a bunch of mamas
there are.
And a bunch of babies, there's one other person that has to join me, and that's Mo.
So you roped me in. You roped me into this boot camp.
Yeah.
And it's been, 3 weeks or so? Something along that lines. And it's one of those things, again, incorporating it in your time. And at first I was a little apprehensive of it, just not because of working out, but just, okay, am I able to dedicate, an hour and 15, but basically an hour of my day in the middle of the day to go and work out, right? And that lunch slot, 12 o'clock slot, is so valuable for us, right? Because we've probably had 2 meetings beforehand. We maybe have 2 meetings afterwards. So that break in the middle of the day is where you try to grab something to eat, maybe reflect on the 2 meetings you had before, think about the 2 meetings coming up, reconnect with the team. So there's a lot going on business-wise and operational-wise in that, 11:30 to 1 o'clock slot. But again, the value behind it, right? If we're going to be healthy individuals, and you just got to find time for it, right?
Yeah.
The mornings are already dedicated to, our faith. The evenings are dedicated to family. So when do you find time for health? And so, so for the last 3 weeks, we've been going to this boot camp, and you mentioned the word addicting before. It's a little addicting.
It can be addicting.
It can be addicting, but it's been great for the last 3 weeks. I feel better, more energy. I don't feel lethargic, and it's just been a good. I don't know. It's just been a really great way to start the year off, and to know that I can check off the health off my my goal list and feeling good. Yeah.
There's nothing more humbling, I don't think.
Oh gosh.
Than standing next to your wife and you're curling the same weight. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And then the trainer's like, you can do more weight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, you don't understand.
Yeah, no.
My arm ain't working.
No. Actually, he called me out yesterday. I went there at 4:30, and we were doing lunges. And I picked
He don't know about your Achilles.
He doesn't know about my Achilles. First of all, he doesn't know my Achilles, but I was picking up 15 pounds. And, he has the mic in his ear, and he was like, Mo, you can pick up more. And I was like, first of all, how did you see me? There's like 50 people in here.
Why'd you pick me out?
Why'd you pick me out?
Because all the rest of them are women. That's the problem. But he's like, have you seen my ankles? I can't do no more weight. I'm not kidding. And then some of those ladies, when you have to do like a certain amount, I'm like, y'all ain't counting.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way you're that far ahead of me. Count to 20. It is very humbling. But here's the reality of it. Okay. I feel like this has happened throughout my life. And so I want to encourage you guys that are listening to just like hang on to this one point, okay? Back in 2019, I had reached a place in my life in business where I was really grinding, although I didn't have to grind. Mm-hmm. There's a point in your life where you're young, you have to grind to make it. You want to make it, you just got to do the dirty work, right? You got to work late, you got to work a lot, you just got to grind, right? Not everybody, but some people. Mm-hmm. But then there comes a point in time where if someone don't point it out, you're doing it for really no reason. The sacrifice doesn't have to be there no more.
Right.
Okay. And I had a gentleman, really, I would say even a mentor in business for sure, that really brought that to light back in 2019 for me. And then ever since, I've had this mindset, and I don't always do it because sometimes I get back into that grind mentality, but that there are priorities to life, and I just need to put it in my schedule and let everything else work itself out. Mm-hmm. Okay? So when we're talking about this working out, what me and Mo did practically, to be able to make this work is we built our 2025 schedule where it doesn't matter who you are. You can't schedule a meeting with Mo and I from 11:30 to 1:30. It just can't happen. And so as a result, we know that we are going. Now, the thought behind that is, well, what if I'm going to miss out on an opportunity? Or what if, listen, we live in the United States of America. There's plenty of opportunity. So if the opportunity that you're wanting that's right in front of you dictates exactly when they're going to meet with you, let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Completely agree.
The next one will be right there.
Completely agree.
Okay? So as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do as an individual, a sales representative, a worker, or whatever, and the reality is those people around you, they need you healthy.
Yeah.
Your business owner or whoever's your operator, your manager, they need you healthy. Mm-hmm. They want you healthy mentally, financially. Your family wants you healthy. So you put these steps in place in your calendar. You make it work. You stick to it. Everybody's going to benefit.
Yeah.
Okay, including the clients that you serve. And so so I think, from a practical standpoint, some people might say, hey, I can't find out how to make it work, just make it work, right? And once you stick to it, you'll find out that all the things you were worried about was never really a concern anyway. Mm-hmm. Business never fell off when I stopped working late. Never. If anything, it continued to grow.
Right.
So throw that out there. Let's get to family, okay? Now I want to speak to this just a little bit, and then I want you to speak to it. You and I both have families, right? There are times, probably many times in life, where you're grinding or I'm grinding, and if we're not careful, that family kind of slips behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we could be doing a lot of good things. We could be working. We could be doing our quiet times in the morning, staying physically healthy, and then coming home exhausted or coming home late. And what is actually priority number 2 ends up priority number 5, 6, 7.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Know exactly what you mean.
So we have to be focused, obviously, to keep our family first, right? For a family to work, for a marriage to work, let's talk through that first. I think the thing that comes to mind is servanthood, sacrifice.
Yeah.
Meaning that the focus is on the other person, right? That's tough, man. That's tough.
It's tough.
And listen, I'm just being completely honest. That's tough for me. You know, Amy works at a daycare in town at Sam Jones Church. What an incredible thing that she loves to do. It's absolutely like within her wheelhouse. It's what she feels. I mean, she just loves kids, man. That's just the reality of it. But I would be lying if I said there's times where I'm like, you know, I'm carrying the weight here, you know, is what it feels like. And sometimes that can come across where, you know, I'm not going to serve you. I feel like I serve you just by living type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, that may be good with your boys. You can't do that with your wife, though. You know, my boys, I'm like, look, you breathe because of me. Now shut your mouth and do your job. But we just got to slow down sometimes and think, hey, are we dating our spouse? Are we, sorry, guys. Are we
being intentional?
Are we being a student of our spouse?
Mm-hmm.
You know, our spouses change. We change. Are we learning who they are? Or are we so caught up with the activities of our children, the activities of our work, that we're going to find ourselves empty nesters with someone we don't even know,
right? A
stranger.
Yeah. You know, it's you know, I think some people struggle with the idea of a work-life balance, right? And it's life, right? And that's really what it is. It's life. And one of the key things you need to do is, how do I put time, or how do I put all the areas of my life, and how do I make time for it? And you may go around, like you mentioned before, of just checking off the boxes of, I'm going to work, I'm providing, but I am sacrificing that time, that quality time with all the loved ones who I'm doing all this for, right? And so, yeah, you made some good points, right? You want to be able to date your wife, date your spouse. You know, simple things as putting it into the calendar, right? This is going to be, you know, our date night. Maybe it's once a week if if that's all you can squeeze in, you know, but put it on the calendar, make it a priority. I think Jordan Peterson, who we both love, I think he said something along the lines of, every spouse needs to spend 90 minutes a week at a minimum, 90 minutes a week. So it's not that much time, but talking about each other, like what's going on, you know, what's going on in your life, good, bad, what's going on with the family, right? I mean, you know, we're grinding here in the office, not that our spouses aren't, but they're probably a little more in tune with what's going on with the kids.
Right.
So like, what's going on, you know, for in your example, so, you know, what's going on with Jake? Did Jake say anything this week? You know, like
take that time.
90 minutes.
Put your phones up while you're in bed.
Phones, yeah.
You know, it's not hard.
It's just
guys.
Little things. Those
things that
little things
that just take your attention.
Mm-hmm.
You said something that I thought was so important, and dadgummit, I think it just left me.
Intentional.
Oh gosh,
90 minutes a week.
No, and I felt like it was so powerful with what you said, but yeah, I don't, maybe it'll come back to me, but yes, your point is we have to create some intention. I know what it was. You made the statement, you know, we do all this for our family. For some of you guys, including you, me, and many of you out there, especially a lot of you guys that are successful and have reached a level of a financial freedom or a financial position where maybe you don't have to grind. You need to pause and ask your wife. You say to yourself, I'm doing all this for them. But what if they look at you and say, you ain't doing this for me because this isn't what I want? What if What if you're sitting here grinding saying, hey, I'm trying to build this, whatever, and your spouse says, but that's
not what I want.
That's not what I want. I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath on a slab, 1,500 square foot on 1 acre of land, and I just want you to be present. What if that's what they want?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we need to take a step back and not buy into this mindset that what I'm doing and grinding for is you guys, because sometimes there's some pride in that. We're grinding for what we want at the cost of what our family needs.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when you said that, I thought, man, that's powerful.
Yeah. I mean, the other day we had a snow day, and both my kids who are at home that are at home right now were off of school, and so these are Georgia kids, right? So when they see snow,
it's party on.
It's party on, right? And so here I am in the office, in my office at home, on my computer. And, I see Olivia outside with her friend. I see Grayson outside with his girlfriend. And it's just like, you know what? Let me take a step back for a second. Let me go out and talk to Liv. And, I didn't want to be out there in the cold. But,
that's a good choice.
But like kind of just check in and see, hey, how's it going? So just so it's not, we were going to try to go sledding later on, but snow turned to to slush. But and
you live on a flat neighborhood.
And I live in a flat neighborhood, right? But the point was, I was thinking about being intentional, right? Because if I'd say 2-3 years ago, it would be, you go outside, you play, you have fun. Don't get me wrong, have fun. But I've got to do this because I need to do this for you.
See, that was Mo's win. My blunder was I stayed there working on some automation in the computer. I couldn't let it go for all day. Oh man, no, but the truth is when it comes to like kids' activities, I feel like that is something that I try to do very well, and definitely it comes at a cost, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is, we're called as men to provide, right? To be disciples first. Well, who is our first disciples?
Yeah,
our kids.
Our kids.
So are we going to show them that they are priority? Or are we going to show them that work and our staff and who we are around every day is priority? We'll catch them up later when we have the time. Listen, we do this all the time. Mm-hmm. We got to think, we got to reset, and we got to put the priorities in place. Quit chasing some stupid dream that means nothing, and make sure that your children are healthy and your children are on the right track.
Yeah.
Or what point are you trying to accomplish? Let's wrap it up with a few points financially.
Okay.
All right. Really, you got to put some thought into this. Number one, what's your goal? Okay, in general, is there debt still on the table? That 2025 is the year, right? You want to get this off. Is it saving?
Saving.
Right? Are you wanting to hit or accomplish a particular goal? Are you wanting to become more healthy with a budget, learning how to manage your finances in a healthy way to be able to support a longer-term dream? Are you trying to buy a house? Are you trying to buy vacation property? Are you trying to buy rental property? Where are you trying to go in year 2025, and how do you get there? Listen, a lot of times we hear from I think we hear more so from successful entrepreneurs, business owners, that it's hard to plan because they don't know where revenue is going to be or whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's such an excuse. Okay, if there's anything we know, okay, we know what you've done, right? Financially, we know what you've done 2024, 2023, 2022, right? Use that as the foundation of which you intend and expect to go. Okay, and then make sure you have a plan in place to accomplish whatever that goal is. If it's debt, you got to start with a budget.
Right.
Build a budget. And then look and see what you have as disposable income and begin to snowball the debt. We've got calculators. I was already thinking we should throw up some of the books you mentioned in the link for the podcast show and the YouTube channel. We also should maybe throw in just a few links for maybe debt snowball calculators, stuff like that, to help people, where can I go to actually build out a debt strategy? But if it's debt, you got to start with a budget, figure out what that disposable cash flow is, and figure out how you're going to address the debt. We can provide some support there. And then investing.
Yeah. No, it's investing goals. One of my goals this year is to give more than I've ever done in the past. Mm-hmm. And so that's a big goal for me. It is I would say it's a achievable goal if I put things in place, but intentionally that's where I am right now. And I would say for financially, I would say I don't know if you've heard the acronym, if the audience have heard the acronym SMART goals, but it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So it's not just hey, I want to save, $10,000, right? Okay, well then, is it specific? Well, $10,000 is specific. You put a number to mind. Measurable. Okay, at the end of the year, you could see if you saved $10,000, right? But have you put the pieces in place to make sure that you can measure it over time, such as the budget, such as the tracking sheets?
Yeah, so I want to say something on that because this is exactly what we do. So just to give an example, we bank at Chase. Okay, we have a household operating, a household checking, and then we have Ally, which is our secondary savings, if you will. It's a high interest savings account. And then we have in our investment accounts at Charles Schwab and 401k. And so what we did is when we identified this is our mission for the year, and then we said, how are we going to accomplish that? We figured out what our income was going to be on a biweekly basis, right? Mm-hmm. We built our budget. That budget includes, let's say as an example, it includes a certain amount going to food every week. Well, for us, that's extracted and put in a different account. So we went into Chase, created a systematic transfer. So that's never even thought about. That literally happens every single week, okay? We have to have a certain amount for, $75 to be put back on a weekly basis for, some bigger one-off expenses throughout the year, kids' clothing or whatever. We set that up as a separate systematic, done every week. So to your point, putting in those steps is literally putting in those steps. I always think it's a good example. Sometimes we say, oh, it's tough to save, or whatever, and then we go and buy a vehicle, and for whatever reason we figure out how to make the payment.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's like create that habit. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you have a bill and you're going to pay it, make it look like a bill. Whether it's giving, whether it's saving, whether it's paying off debt. Literally make it like a bill. Create an automatic draft out of your household operating and make it happen.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so those steps, like you're talking about, those are key.
Yeah. No. It's nowadays automation makes things a little easier. Have an accountability partner. Make it your spouse. If you're not married, make it someone you trust to kind of keep you accountable. A financial advisor, whoever it may be. But yeah, I mean, it's. I think a lot of people have good intentions in place, but they just don't know the steps, the process to accomplish it. And so hopefully this episode helps you understand that if your goals are important to you, if it's relevant and you find value in it, then stop the excuses, right? It's kind of harsh, but really stop the excuses. It's the beginning of a new year. Like you said, where you were in 24, how 23 looked like, how 22 looked like. Let's make 25 just one step better than the year before. And so, I think this was a good episode, very timely. Mm-hmm. I'm sure we'll talk about more as the year goes on.
And don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up. That's the thing. Just don't give up. Think of it as a success that you even started, that you listened to this. And even if it's just at the end of this week, you pulled out an Excel spreadsheet and just created your own budget.
Yeah.
Think of that as a win.
Start working that. Yeah. Look, it's so funny to me because we do it. This is what we do.
Yeah.
We spend our life creating revenue, okay, so that we can be with our family, so that we can be financially free, so that we can be where we want to go, right? Take time to figure it out. And if you do, you're going to be, you may find yourself in a great spot. Today may not be where you want to be, but remember, you don't want to end the year. If you didn't like where you ended the year in 2024 or 2023, well, then you better do something different, or you're going to be the same place at the end of 2025. So right now, it may be tough. Put those steps in place. Make sure you get to where you want to go. If you are financially free, you still got to have the steps. And maybe we can even share some stories going on into next week and stuff like that on how we plan for some of our clients that are obviously more financially free, saving them significant amount in taxes just by pre-planning for their year, leveraging different types of plans to reduce taxation, because sometimes these folks, they are financially free, so they don't think, no big deal. Oh, yeah.
That was a big deal.
Yeah, when the government hits you for $300,000 more than you're supposed to, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Plan. So that's a wrap, Mo.
That's a wrap.
All right. See you next week.
See you next week.